Welcome back, everyone. Hopefully, you enjoyed that random tier list. Uh, Today I have another episode review, and it's one of my favorites in season one, and probably one of my favorites in all of MLP. Um, this was the start of my love for Rarity. I really, really, really like her in this episode, and it's honestly the start of when I started shipping Rarity and Applejack. I think this episode really, really, really shows why they would be perfect together as a couple. Much better than Applejack and Rainbow Dash. Yeah, so let's get into Look Before You Sleep. The episode starts off simple enough. Rarity and Applejack are going to be the focus, and the Pegasus of Ponyville have scheduled a storm. Um, which means there's going to be a lot of debris and stuff flying around because of how windy and etc etc. So Applejack is trying to get everything cleared out and get like the trees like that need to have their limbs pulled down and stuff pulled down so that they don't create hazards during the storm. Rarity is being Rarity, and she's just using her magic to transfigure branches into pretty pony leaf things, and it's not really helping, and Applejack lets her know it. Rarity starts freaking out because the rain starts falling and she doesn't want to get her mane or her tail or anything messed up. And nicely enough, Applejack is willing to oblige, helping her. She finds a spot for Rarity to hunker down until Applejack is finished. So not only is Applejack willing to let Rarity just stop helping, she's also helping Rarity find a place to have shelter. Rarity doesn't want to get her hooves muddy, so she's like, I don't want to get in there. And that obviously frustrates Applejack. And it makes sense. Applejack is already sacrificing a worker who's helping her clear out the debris and stuff. And she's letting her just slack it for the rest of the time that she's going to finish, and Rarity's still complaining about even being provided somewhere to not get wet, which is understandable. This leads to them bickering very, 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 not like intensely, but so much so that they're like, we need to separate, because if we don't, this is going to turn into something very bad, which is smart. Don't let things escalate too harshly between friends, because if they escalate to a point of no return, that creates really bad situations. But as they're separating, the storm gets even worse, which drives them back together, and Applejack ends up even taking shelter under the little bench. After the break, we get Applejack hiding under the little bench, which again makes sense. She wouldn't make Rarity be using that thing if she wouldn't have used it herself. So again, it's kindness. She's like, this will protect us. And Twilight calls out to the girls, and they end up heading to her home. So the girls head to Twilight's place, and because Applejack went under the bench, her hooves are all dirty and muddy. And she's not going to do it at first. She's going to just come directly inside. But Rarity's like, go wash up. So Applejack goes and washes her hooves off. And this is where we get Twilight. And Twilight is one of the best parts of this episode. She's so cute, and she's so enthusiastic that you can't really help but cheer for her. Especially in contrast to Rarity and Applejack's attitudes of just being downers and not wanting to be there at all. It's a really good not mirror, because it's not a reflection, it's a contrast. Anyways, Twilight wants to have a slumber party because the storm might stop them from going home, and Rarity is not happy about it at all. She does not want to be around Applejack. And then once Applejack comes in and notices what's going on because she had to wash her hooves off. She also is very unhappy with what they are doing, and she wants to leave as well. But as soon as she tries, the lightning and thunder keep her in Twilight's home. And I really like this situation because it creates a scenario in which they can't leave, but they also hate staying there. But then you have Twilight who wants them to be there and wants to have fun. It's a really interesting plot for this episode. So what's going on is mud masks, and Applejack kind of is not the mud mask type, and she eats the cucumbers that are supposed to be reducing puffiness around the eyes. Girls are weird about that stuff. I guess a lot of guys do it now too, so it's just it probably works, who even knows. But Applejack doesn't really want to do this, and Twilight is like, we have to, it's in the book. And then she gets super excited because she's reading the book. And then Rarity kind of does the manipulation thing where she's like, you're not going to ruin Twilight's first sleepover, are you? And Applejack is like, oh, I can get along with anyone. And they're like, both, I can get along with anyone. And obviously they're not going to get along. And it's really funny because, again, it's not funny, it's intriguing and interesting because, again, Twilight is super excited for this night and they're super not excited for the night. It's really unfortunate for Applejack because they start with makeovers, and obviously that's something Rarity would have no problem with and she would definitely enjoy, and Applejack obviously wouldn't. So from the get-go, they're already doing like mud masks and doing their hair and stuff, and Applejack just doesn't like this. And it's funny because, like, we get this wave of, oh, Rarity is smug now. Oh, then Applejack is smug. Oh, then Rarity is smug. Oh, then... And the entire time, Twilight is completely oblivious. I mean, she's not oblivious. I'm pretty sure she isn't, but her enthusiasm and her positivity is just too infectious. Like, it's not infectious because they don't get it, but for the watcher, I think, for the viewer, like, we're like, oh, but Twilight is so cute anyways. Next up, we get ghost stories, and this is a really, really great part because we get, like, really funny moments that are lasting. Applejack tells a story. Not even tells a story, she's just poking fun at Rarity and saying the ghost is snooty and blah, blah, blah. And then Rarity does the same thing about Applejack. And we get, like, Tabitha's ooh, because they do the ooh, like a ghost, like, ooh. And Rarity's is so funny, it sounds so weird. And then we get the line where Applejack says, that's not a real ghost story, you just made it up. And Rarity says, it's a ghost story, they're all made up. And that's a really, really funny line too. And then Twilight ends up telling a story, and hers is really effective, and she does well, and Applejack and Rarity are terrified, and it works out. And it's really funny because, like, as soon as the story is over, Twilight's just like, okay, and she just turns on the light and goes back and writes, she checks it off, and she's like, okay, next thing. Like, it's not even a matter of, like, basking in the funness of it, it's just getting the thing done and moving on to the next thing. They do s'mores next, and it's weird because Rarity makes a single s'more, Applejack eats it, Rarity gets annoyed, and then Twilight checks it off the list. Like, that's not even multiple s'mores, that's like a s'more. And Twilight checks it off the list. But then Twilight is like, next is Truth or Dare. And so they start just saying truth and dare things. They're not really playing Truth or Dare. And then Twilight's like, this isn't, like, they have, like, the tension is rising, and Twilight's like, that's not how the game works, it works like this. So then we get a really malicious dare from Applejack, because she dares Rarity to go outside, and it's like, outside is dangerous, but, like, I guess it's harmless because maybe the tree's protective lightning thing means that it can't even strike around the house. And then Rarity dares Applejack to wear a dress, and, like, Applejack gets the dress real quick, and it's really funny because it's like, where did that dress come from, and is that Twilight's dress, because they're in Twilight's house, and that's a pretty funny scene. And then they start bouncing off of each other things that are funny, like Applejack is like, I dare you to join the rodeo that comes into town, and Rarity's like, I dare you not to. And then Applejack's like, I dare you not to brush your hair 100 times before going to sleep. And Rarity is like, I dare you to do it just once. So it's really funny because it's contrasting their characters and how different they are and how they are opposites. And it's really effective. Everything is really effective because we get them fighting, but we get the balance of Twilight still trying to keep things under control and pleasant. An interesting tidbit here is that Twilight is like, don't I get a turn for truth or dare? But she didn't eat a s'more, and she didn't care then. And you see what they're daring each other to do. It's an interesting plot point. But then they move on to pillow fighting, and Rarity's like, I'm not going to do that. But Applejack chucks a pillow right in her face, and she's immediately like, she does her "it is on" line, and that's a really good line. That was a big thing in the early pony fandom. And then in this scene, when they're fighting, when they're doing their pillow fight, we get a really cool piece of music from Daniel Ingram. Obviously, Daniel's stuff is amazing, like all of it, but I think his like non-vocal music doesn't get as much credit as it should. He has some really, really good music that's just part of episodes as opposed to being the main focus, and we get that here. And then in this fight, Twilight gets caught in the middle, and she gets absolutely destroyed, and it's really funny because they're Rarity and Applejack are doing like everything they can to throw pillows at each other. Like Rarity is using telekinesis, and Applejack is bucking and using her lasso and stuff. And Twilight gets the very worst of it, and her little googly eyes thing is really fun. And right after this, she's like, okay, that's enough. I think it's time for bed. Apparently, Twilight only has one guest bed because Rarity and Applejack have to share it. Sure. I mean, she only has Spike in the house as well, and he probably has a smaller bed because he's smaller. We get really, really good voice acting this episode from Tabitha and from Ashley. We get the part where Applejack is doing her little snore, and that sounds really, really funny. And we also get her when she says, I ain't budging, and she says budging with like really a lot of southern twang, and it's really funny every time. So Applejack and Rarity are still fighting, and they're throwing each other out of the bed, and they start fighting over the blanket, and Twilight has finally had enough. She is like, you guys ruined everything. You've been fighting the entire night. Even Twilight, in her infinite patience, eventually just is like, I can't anymore. And then she's like, what else could possibly go wrong? And then, of course, more goes wrong. The climax of this episode is a lightning strike hits a tree that's close to Twilight's house. And Applejack is like, I told you, Rarity, this is why we needed to get all of these things cleared. They didn't finish because Rarity was doing the stuff, the like prettifying the things and turning them into ponies. And Rarity feels bad, but Applejack is like, I don't care. And she's like, we need to do this, like to pull the tree down that got struck by lightning because it might fall somewhere. So Rarity's like, hold on, and Applejack's like, no, I'm doing it. So she pulls it down and it comes into Twilight's house. And this scene is everything. It's funny, it's heartfelt, it's a good moral. It's literally everything encased in one scene. It's funny because Applejack apologizes to Twilight, and Twilight's like, it's not okay. She's like, there's nothing in the book about a tree branch being because Twilight's like not even thinking about whether, like, she's just like, the book doesn't say it. So I guess if there was an entry in the book that said it's okay to have tree branches fall into your living room or your bedroom, she'd be like, oh, that's fine. Okay, we're fine. But that's really funny. So then Applejack is like, Rarity, I need your help. And Rarity is like, she's doing the small stuff. She's fixing the books that fell from like Twilight's bookcase. And Applejack's just like, oh my goodness. So she goes back to Twilight, and Twilight is still doing, like, she's reading through the entries of the book, and Applejack's like, that's a hopeless case. She goes back to Rarity, and she's like, please. She doesn't say please. She's like, you need to help me. Your attention to detail, blah, blah, blah. And then finally, like, Rarity's not listening. And finally, Applejack is like, she's like, her exact word. I want to use her exact words because she's like, I'm sorry. She apologizes, and Rarity's like, what was that? And she's like, I should have listened to you when you said about the branch. I shouldn't have just done without thinking. And then she's like, you need to help me though, because I can't do this by myself. And Rarity's still kind of just like doing her own thing, and Applejack says please, and that's what gets Rarity. Again, politeness and stuff, that is Rarity's thing. And Rarity's like, but I'll get icky. She doesn't want to help because she'll get icky. And Applejack's like, yes, that is what happens when you work hard, but I can't do this by myself. I need your help. And Rarity thinks about it for a second, and finally she's like, okay, I'll help you. And she does the spell, like, on the tree to turn it into the little pony things, so that it won't be this big branch in Twilight's house. There's this really funny scene right after this where Applejack is about to buck a piece of wood off of Twilight's windowsill and just send it wherever. She's like, obviously she doesn't care. And Rarity stares her down, and like Applejack slowly lowers her back hooves, and then she turns and just bites it and like throws it out the window very gently. And then we get this scene, and this is such a good scene. Rarity's all dirty. She doesn't like getting icky, but she helped Applejack and she got all icky and dirty. And she's like, I look awful. And Applejack thinks about it for a second, and she looks around, and she gets the cucumbers that Rarity had from the makeover, and she puts them on Rarity's eye. And Rarity, I think she says thank you, and they give each other a hug. And it's such a beautiful little moment between them. Again, it's just like, we never get moments like this between Dash and AJ, where it seems like not romantic, but like love. Like they love each other. Like they're really good friends. Applejack and Rainbow Dash usually just have, we fought, and then like we're not fighting anymore, and we're just friends. This seems more like a sweet embrace, and it really, really reinforces that pairing to me, and I really, really like it. After this, the next day happens, and they're still there, and I like how they're showing Rarity. They show Rarity has her roles in, and so does Twilight, but Applejack doesn't. And that's cool. They don't all have to do the same thing. If Applejack doesn't enjoy it, they can still have fun together. They're playing 20 questions, and they're doing terrible. They're asking Twilight the questions, and they don't win. But Twilight is like, I wanted you guys to win because you guys are working together, and you look so happy. And we get this moment where they kind of start getting aggressive with each other again. Like, Applejack's like, I'm sorry. And Rarity's like, no, I'm more sorry. And then there's no way you can be more sorry than me. And they have this little moment, but then they laugh it off. And yeah, laugh it off. It's not a big deal. And Twilight's like, the sleepover was a success. And it was, because like, if they're there even the next day, like obviously they didn't wake back up in the night. They went to sleep and then they woke up and then whatever. And then we get the letter to Celestia, and it's embracing. She's like, they're so different from each other, but embracing their differences could lead to friendship, and that's a good lesson. You don't have to be the same to be friends with people. You can share similar interests, but you could also find interests that are not something you liked before, and then go, I'll try that, and then you like it. An example of that is like with my sister. We share a lot of interests together. Like we play Dead by Daylight together. We play we recently started Stardew Valley, stuff like that. We watched similar movies. We've watched similar TV shows, etc., etc. But a while back, I'd say maybe a while back, she got into K-pop, and she really, really liked K-pop. And I was like, I don't really like K-pop. That's not my style at all. But I was like, well, you know what? If she is really interested in it, why don't I make an effort to see if I could understand and like it? And then we'd have another thing that we share together, and then we could have an even deeper bond. And I started listening to K-pop, and I really, really like it now. We went to an EXO concert, and I like EXO. I like NCT. I like uh, just like a bunch of different like K-pop stuff, and this episode kind of like reinforces that. It's like, don't always stay in your zone, and if somebody's different than you, try to find something that they like so that you can have a bond with them. And I think that's a really good lesson. And that's Look Before You Sleep. I really, really, really like this episode. There are the beginning of MLP, like the first like stretch up to here, they're really, really good episodes. It's hard to find anything bad. This was the thing that started the Brony fandom and started the explosion of popularity of MLP. So it had to be good. Like, it couldn't be crap, or people wouldn't have liked it. And as I said before, I was like, I don't want to watch that. I don't want to watch that. I don't want to watch that. And then finally, I was like, I'll give it a try. And these first like 7-8 episodes, it was like, oh man, this is a really, really good show. And even today, all these years later, going back and watching them, it still holds up. These are some of the best episodes in all 9 seasons. This one in particular started a lot of stuff for a lot of people. Like I said, the Rarity Applejack ship. We got like some memes like the It Is On and stuff. And Twilight, the Twilight picture, the I used to be an adventurer but then I took an arrow to the knee, or like it's the I used to wonder what friendship could be, or whatever. That dumb meme came out of this episode with her face when she's looking at Rarity, I think it is. Yeah, this is a it's a funny episode. It's a heartfelt episode. It has really, really good character development for Rarity, Applejack, and Twilight. It has a good moral. I don't know if I already said that. It's all around just really, really, really good. And I'd easily give it another, again, 5-star rating.